Boom. Salutations. Wanted to talk about something that is interesting and kind of alarming, and it's something that I've heard a couple of times, starting with the people that had done that habituation in Texas and Oklahoma. It's that group that is kind of undisclosed. They're not on social media, to my understanding, very much. I had first heard about them through Tom Powell, the Sasquatch researcher, and also M.K. Davis had several videos about this. I think one is the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot pushing each other. Another one is Whitey's Run. There's several, the fence climber. All these came from these habituation places where they're doing all these extreme things to try to catch Sasquatch, not just on film, but just to communicate. So anyway, but something that I had heard that started with the habituation, and also some of these researchers saying in the deep field, it's very interesting, is that the type 1 type of Sasquatch, the patty type, are being pushed out by a much more aggressive species. That's almost like they call it mutant strain species. But in reality, these are more like, as my understanding is, a type 3 Bigfoot, which is ones with the snout, more like the Beast of Seven Shoots. Some skunk apes are described as being like that also, but they have the muzzles, and they're often actually confused almost with dogmen. Now, these type are supposed to be extremely aggressive. I've done another video on the channel entitled the Janoska and the Gugwe. And that's the same thing tying in. That's a type 3 Bigfoot also. Those are tying in. So it's the same thing. You can go back and look at that video and check that out. So I won't go too much in that. But they're regarded as being very aggressive and cannibals on top of that. So bad things that seem to be said about these only. And something different I'm hearing the reports now is that mostly those seem to be regarded as individual solitary hunters, not in the packs like the other types of Bigfoot, like the type 1s, the type 2s, and then the type 4. They're reported to be in much more family units or clan type of units. These Janoska and these Gugwes, these type 3s, were always reported to be solitary, but now I've been hearing a lot of reports of them actually hunting in packs too. Assaults on people and things like that, cornering people and doing things like that. In fact, I put a picture up of one of the stories I heard about, the one that was on the trunk. So that's just something to be aware of, and I think that's a little bit alarming, especially when dealing with some place like the Assetti Ranch, where I believe those are maybe type 1 out there, or what I call a type 5 that's a different, something that has to do with these trees that's maybe a different species altogether. Anyway, but I'd hate to see them get pushed out for these evil ones to come in, these dirty ones, these nasty ones that I've heard them described as monsters. Everyone describes them as monsters, and these type 3 are slightly different than what we've talked about already in another video, which is the mountain giants, which were also called the stone giants. Sometimes the Janoska were called that also, the stone giants that rolled themselves to be repellent in rocks, to be repellent from the spears thrown by Native Americans. So that's the Janoska, and the Gugwe is slightly different than that, depending on which culture you're looking at, it seems like. So anyway, just something slightly different that we're describing here. And I would just hate to see, like I was saying, going back to the SETI, is that one of these nice ones being pushed out by these ones that are unkind monsters. Because so many people think all around, oh, they're our forest brothers. The truth is, we don't know that much about them. There are different types of them that probably run the gamut, but you've got something else out there, these type 3s. And I'll tell you, thinking of it on a different level, it makes me wonder if this is something that has not been introduced into the Sasquatch population to, one, either make them feared by us, hunted, or something of that nature, or maybe to get rid of them. We see things in the Bible about these genetic experiments. We talk about that now, and cloning, yada yada. I think you've got something going on there, definitely. Because some of these type 3s are reported as having these glowing eyes, these self-illuminating eyes. Why? Is that some type of an AI, cyborg? Where is that coming in at? So these are things I think need to be really evaluated seriously when thinking about what these other type 3s are, and maybe where they come from, what they are, yada yada. just something to, you know, really kind of sink your teeth in, because they're obviously not all kind, and just the reports of these things is real. And I think it needs to be factored into what we know about that. For the people that are much more bold than me and are out in the mountains and in the forest all the time, you got to be aware, you know. Anyway, so this is just dealing with that. Try and look over here to see a little bit. I know there's something else that could be as well. For just discussed is the Sasquatch Bigfoot gene pool depleted? And is that how this is coming in, and we're getting these mutant strains that are coming from that? And we've had a lot of reports when you look back in history, especially Native American wise, of Sasquatch abducting women and having hybrid children. Also in Australia, the Yowie, there's some stories of that, of them breeding with people. So that takes us into what would be actually mutant strains of these different types of Sasquatch. And is Genosqua and this type 3, I'll just say, are these type 3s another type of, some type of a mutant strain in that way? Is that due to a depleted genetic pool? I don't know, because another video, maybe the last one I'll do concerning Sasquatch is, where did they go when they're not around? We need to figure that out too. Do they just go deeper in the forest, or do they go somewhere else? So anyway, these are just the things I wanted to address concerning this mutant strain and how they're coming in and invading and pushing the more docile style of Bigfoot out of the locations that are known as these habitations that aren't being publicly talked about. When I first heard when Tom Powell told me about this, he had mentioned how there were like some hoaxers that had found out what these people were doing and going out trying to sabotage these habitations. So that's disappointing, you know. But MK Davis has got a lot of that stuff off his channel. Several things that are them putting these cameras and these mirrors in the cameras and stuff like that to catch the Sasquatch that are too much aware of cameras. So anyway, just I find that what they were doing very interesting, like Snow White, Bigfoot, what all these individuals are doing to communicate with Sasquatch, and how they might almost be doing it in a way. I was just talking to the PC, the individual films on my videos from Team BSR Music, thank you. We were talking about how actually the Sasquatch can be almost like savants, and they do things almost autistic ways, the way they're perceived. I can't remember who that guy is that says that. Chris Knowles, I think, is that his name? Anyway, he's got a brilliant theory about that. When I looked at it, having worked with some autistic kids before, I saw some similar things to what he was saying. Anyway, enough of this. I want to wrap this up. Please put a like on the video. Please share it. Please hit the notification bell. I want to give a shout out to all the people on Patreon. Well, actually, the few people on Patreon that support me, but also a lot of people on YouTube that have really tried to keep this going on. You're talking a lot amongst each other. I've tried to reply to a couple of people every now and again, so thank you very much. If you emailed me, please check your spam folder to make sure I didn't email you back. I responded to a lot of people at my BarryLittleton13.com email. Thank you very much, and peace.